On this episode of Just Seen It, we review the animated movie about a prehistoric family, the Croods.
You know, you're a lot like your daughter.
Oh, great. Now he's broken. It's a little bit unusual. You have a children's film, but you're focusing on the adult and his struggles.
The action thriller, Dead Man Down.
I saw you kill this man.
The film does come off as generic overall in the end, but I do think there are strong performances.
The crime drama, Spring Breakers.
Who are you?
My name's Aileen. My real name's Al.
Either it works or it doesn't. I was okay with him taking that chance and putting it in there.
And to a special retrospective on the first 3 seasons of Downton Abbey. And a look ahead at season 4.
You'll not be taking me with you, sir? Only I thought you'd be needing a proper valet once you're married.
This is his job. This is his position in life, and you can't really take that away from him.
All right here on Just Seen It. A prehistoric family's world is shattered by an earthquake.
Get to the cave! Look out!
So they must venture into a strange new land to find safety.
Just think, our whole family packed together on a long, slow trip across country. We'll tell stories, we'll laugh.
But when they meet a clever boy, their journey gets complicated in The Croods.
Hello, I am Liz.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
Hi, I'm Brenna, and we're here today to talk about The Croods, the new animated film from DreamWorks. We've all just seen it.
And we're joined today by Jamie Philbrook, brought to us by IamRogue.com. All right, Jamie, you are required to tell us a little bit about yourself.
You got it. My name is Jamie Philbrook. I am the managing editor of a website called IamRogue.com, and it's Relativity Media's movie news site.
All right, well, how did you feel about The Croods?
So the film's written by Kirk D'Amico, who wrote Space Chimps, and he wrote it along with Chris Sanders, who wrote How to Train Your Dragon. And they developed a story with comedic legend from Monty Python fame, John Cleese. It was compelling. I didn't think it really carried itself all the way through. It was unique, well-written. I thought the characters were well-developed. You know, I liked it. I think kids are going to enjoy it.
They're old things we've seen. All of these, the overprotective dad. But I found that the way they did it, the execution of the story was actually pretty unique.
Well, I think that's because the script structure is actually very unusual, because you have narration from Emma Stone, throughout the beginning of the film and bookended at the end, but then you have a complete diversion in the third act, or towards the end of the second act, to the father figure, and it becomes the father story all of a sudden. Right. So it's a little bit unusual. You have a children's film, but you're focusing on the adult and his struggles. But for the most part, all the rest of the conflicts and struggles are really conventional.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan Reynolds' character comes in, and that was good to sort of, you know, you had the love story going between him and Emma Stone's character.
Love. Yeah, no, they didn't even kiss at the end.
No kissing.
No, it's a children's movie after all.
Right. They kissed in Beauty and the Beast.
That's true.
I mean, he's a guy named Guy, and the Croods, they set it up so that the Croods are cavemen, but they're not Homo sapiens. They're more Neanderthal-like.
Right.
And Guy comes in with his big cranium, and he is obviously a Homo sapien. And because of his bigger brain, he's able to be smart and live and have all these great ideas that lets him live in a different environment than the ones that they were living in.
Discovers fire, he's able to...
That's very idealistic, because this film has no basis in science whatsoever.
No.
Oh, no. So I don't know if that's true.
I mean, the humans have, besides the monkey wall climbing that the Croods do, the basis for their design is very sort of early hominid versus modern hominid.
You have something that's trying to be based in some sort of reality. Like you're talking about hominids, you're talking about Neanderthals and various types of Australopithecus or whatever we're going to go into there. But really, these characters defy physics. They have all these advanced thinking that never came around during that time period that we're looking at. Like, it's really,
well, that was my problem. It started to fall.
It's very frustrating. It's falling apart.
It started to fall apart there. And I had to, at a certain point, kind of turn off my thinking brain and say, it's a movie, it's for kids.
I think they kind of covered that.
I did question that.
By saying that, by implying that Guy is a human.
But where did he come from?
He came from a different place.
Don't think about it too much, Liz.
I'm Guy.
Guy.
And this is Belt, cook, conversationalist, navigator. Also, keeps my pants up.
What are pants up?
Nicolas Cage did one of the voices in Astro Boy, and it totally took me out of the movie because he's got such a distinctive voice, and
crazy voice?
you just know it's Nick Cage, but it works for a Neanderthal man.
He's perfect.
He's
he should stay in this subgenre of Neanderthal animated films because it's perfect.
Yeah.
He is a loving father, and so there were aspects that you could relate to.
Everybody was casted well. The only one I found slightly distracting was Emma Stone, because she has a very unique voice. Yeah. But it wasn't bad distracting.
I didn't need celebrities in this film. I think we always talk about that, as a group. We always talk about, this stunt casting with celebrities.
I miss voice actors.
Right, but I did enjoy hearing Catherine Keener's voice because I'm such a huge fan. And it was nice to see that their animated forms reflected a more realistic expression of early hominid or early man or whatever we want to call them, because they had thick arms and they had hunched shoulders.
They're stronger than Guy.
It's fire. Where did it come from? He made it.
Make some for me.
It doesn't come out of him.
Make it.
You're a lot like your daughter.
Oh, great. Now he's broken.
The animation I thought was the best part about the movie, and the 3D was really good. It's not since Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs have I seen an animated movie with that's good at 3D.
The worlds in this film, they travel through all these different environments, and they're big and they're breathtaking and they're beautiful and fantastical, and these are creatures and there's all these dangers they face. And it's absolutely amazing, and the 3D really enhances that.
And they knew when to push imagery in the foreground and then have some depth in the background, which I very much enjoyed. As many problems as I have with the story and specifically with the character of Guy, I did laugh a lot at this movie because, even them just throwing rocks in people's faces and saying they're taking a picture, that was hilarious. And
some of the gags seemed a little too...
A little childish.
Yeah, a little too, they were going
I think there was some of that with Guy. He was a little over the top sometimes, just over top silly, but I've seen movies with my younger relatives and they crack up at that stuff.
The Croods is a fine film for children. It's very funny. But outside of the family film genre, it's living room entertainment. Stream it.
I totally agree with you, Liz. I think the animation is fantastic and the 3D is great. Kids will love the film, but parents might be a little bit bored. I say stream it.
I have to disagree. I laughed a lot, and I heard you laughing a lot. I think the parents will be just as entertained, so I say see it.
Well, it looks like our votes add up to 2 full tickets, which is a stream it for the Croods. Bum, bum, bum.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bent on revenge, Victor infiltrates Alphonse's crime ring. But when Beatrice sees him commit murder, she blackmails Victor. Together, they carry out their vendettas in Dead Man Down.
Hi, I'm Salim.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm also Aaron. So this was a jam-packed week of screenings, and we only have time to do a quick review on Dead Man Down, but let's do one. This is the new thriller from Niels Arden Oplev, who directed the Swedish version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. We've all just seen it. Salim, why don't you start?
All right, well, Dead Man Down, by all accounts, should have been a pretty straightforward revenge movie, but unfortunately, it's a little bit too complicated for its own good. We have Noomi Rapace, who plays Beatrice, who asks for the help of Colin Farrell for her own revenge. But unfortunately, her character was wholly unnecessary and really didn't add much to the plot. Because there are so many moving parts in this film, the love story by the end just fell really flat. Now, the acting was good. I did like Noomi Rapace. This is probably the best she's been since Dragon Tattoo. And the action was cool here and there, but I just felt like it just didn't connect thematically like it should have.
It's a standard revenge story, and it has kind of some added tweaks in there by having Noomi Rapace's character. But the film is just not as narratively confident as it needs to be. It takes a lot of shortcuts instead of having a smarter way of playing out overall. The film does come off as generic overall in the end, but I do think there are strong performances here. You have Colin Farrell and Noomi Rapace. They have a good amount of chemistry. They're kind of lost soul type characters, and Dominic Cooper is really good in this movie. I really liked his performance. And Terrence Howard, he doesn't have enough to do here, but I do think he's good with what he's given. It moves on this kind of slow pace. You don't really get into where it goes by the end. It's just kind of disappointing overall, and I want to like this movie. I think there are some good touches here directorially. I think that has some moments in the action and the way it's showing the grimy drama that's going on here.
I want him to know that if there's anything left in this world that he still cares about, I'm going to find it. And I'm gonna burn it down.
This was a revenge story that we've seen before. It was bland. It could have been so much more interesting, but then you add Beatrice as a character, and she's really irrelevant. Noomi Rapace did a wonderful job playing this character, but she didn't need to be in the movie. It was just her as his romantic interest. He could have gotten his revenge done without her. The film tries to discuss themes like family, for example. In the beginning, we have a little monologue, and by the end, it's like they didn't even have that monologue. And family is important to the film, but it's not a strong theme. I will say that some of the performances are strong, though Dominic Cooper, I think, was written the best and gave a great performance. He's always really good, though. You know, Niels Arden Oplev is a strong director. There are a few flourishes here or there, but nothing big. And not to mention that the score was just so over the top, really heavy-handed.
Some visual touches going off the direction I think are commendable. I do think the tone is a bit uneven, especially as it gets to its climax, which is just kind of a dull action ending as opposed to maintaining a more dramatic tone that fits with the rest of the film.
I disagree. That was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah,
I like the action.
There were
I
3
like that.
action scenes. The second one was the coolest
The
one.
third one was the coolest. What are you talking about? Dead Man Down does have some interesting elements for a revenge crime thriller, but it tries to be smarter than it winds up being. Stream it.
Dead Man Down is a decent B-movie, but it's undone by its generic action finale. I say stream it.
There are plenty of revenge movies out there that surpass this film. Watch Old Boy or Kill Bill instead. Dead Man Down is a skip it.
All right, well, our votes add up to 1 ticket, which is a stream it for Dead Man Down. Cheers.
Revenge! I quit.
Hard to believe it, but Life of Pi is already out on DVD and Blu-ray. So naturally, it's our DVD pick of the week.
My name is Pai Patel. I have been in a shipwreck. I am on a lifeboat alone with a tiger. Please send help.
When Kevin, Rachel, and Aaron reviewed it last fall, they all agreed it was a beautiful film, and they gave it a 3-way see it. Deservedly so. It was nominated for multiple Oscars, including Best Picture, and Ang Lee took home the statue for Best Director. Also out this week is Hitchcock, starring Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren.
I'm just a man hiding in the corner with a camera, watching.
And when Liz and Salim and I reviewed it, we gave it a see it as well. Richard Portnow, co-star of Hitchcock, was on our show for an interview. So if you missed it, you can check it out on the Just Seen It website. And our resident sound guru, Aaron, tells me I should check out the rock and roll documentary Sound City, which is currently available on video on demand. So there you have it, an Oscar winner, a biopic, and a rock doc for your home theater viewing. Enjoy!
Four friends are faced with no money for spring break.
All I know is I'm not going to sit here another day.
How are we going to get enough money in time?
So they commit a daring robbery and head to the beach.
Bikinis and big booties, y'all. That's what life is about.
But their parting in friendship with a rapper gets them in hot water. In Spring Breakers.
Hi, I'm Liz.
I'm Salim. And I'm Sean, and we're here to talk about Spring Breakers, the new film from Harmony Korine, which might depict the longest spring break ever. We've all just seen it. Who's gonna take me on vacation first?
Me. I want to say one of the best filmmakers of all time, Jean-Luc Godard, said that all you need to make a film is a girl and a gun. And this film has 4 girls and like thousands of guns, and it is a great movie.
I enjoyed the movie. I'm actually a Harmony Korine fan. I've seen a couple of his movies, Kids, Gummo. And the thing about Korine is his movies are not for everyone. He has a very odd visual style that really shines a light on some pretty detestable characters.
Yeah, I needed a break after seeing this movie. I haven't seen another Korine film other than this one, so I'm just coming at it fresh. But I just felt this film kind of just assaulted you with its aesthetic. It just hammers you over the head.
The first half of the movie is like a music video with Skrillex, this huge bombastic soundtrack that really attacks your senses. But once we meet Alien, James Franco's character, it really becomes a story.
It's an intentional assault on the senses. It's redundant. It repeats itself constantly, but it's compelling. It's exciting, and I wanted to watch the entire story unfold because something about the graphic nature of the film, the ridiculous concept that we're dealing with, is intriguing. It's interesting.
And the writing, it's barely there. I mean, I just kind of left the movie wondering what the point of the proceedings were.
It felt stilted at times because a lot of the female characters, 2 of them or 3 of them in particular, we never are able to really get into what makes them tick. Right. Why are they doing what they're doing? Except for one of them, Faith, who is this church-going girl who wants to get her friends away from spring break as soon as possible.
The problem is, first off, her name is Faith. It's like if you didn't know what she's supposed to represent, there you go. But the other thing is, she's the only antagonistic presence really to anything other than when you get into the really external conflict with James Franco and this other rapper toward the end.
This is not a realistic film.
Well, first off, there are a lot of people down there in Florida partying that hard, so that part of it is
Well, they
realistic.
don't all look like that, and they don't all participate in horrific, dramatic crimes.
I'm there every spring, and they completely look like that. The Selena Gomez character, I'm sorry, they get rid of her 30 minutes into the movie, and she is the only really dissenting voice to the group, and I'm thinking, why not leave her there to actually make make some kind of interesting conflict?
There are a lot of instances in the movie with some interesting song choices that they sing. I was like, why is this in this film right now? But I was okay with it because Harmony Korine had an idea and he wanted to put it in there. Either it works or it doesn't. I was okay with him taking that chance and putting it in there.
It had a point of view. It had a perspective. It was unusual. It was weird. It was exciting. I loved that about this movie.
I thought when James Franco belted out Britney Spears,
that was the best part of the whole movie.
That was about the moment I thought the movie had completely flown off.
No, that's my favorite scene of the entire year is the Britney Spears dancing with guns interpretive dance.
Yeah, here in early March, your favorite scene of the movie.
It's really good.
Let's talk about the acting a little bit. We have Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez, Rachel Corrin, and Ashley Benson, as well, of course, as James Franco. And I thought James Franco and Selena Gomez stole the show. They were amazing.
You know, of the 4 girls, I thought Selena Gomez really proved herself to be a pretty good actress in this movie. As for the other 3 girls, I just didn't feel that the script gave them a lot of distinction. I felt like they were kind of just an amalgamation of young women, and there were no individual personalities.
Even Franco calls that out himself. He looks at the girls and he treats them like they're all one unit. They're not supposed to be individuals.
Well, but is that a good thing?
And James Franco was great. I was expecting not to like him in this. I didn't think he was going to do a good wannabe gangster, but he knocked it out the park. It
was weird how good he was.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
The only thing I got really annoyed with the voiceover track where he kept going, "Spring break."
Come on, y'all. Why acting suspicious? Get in.
Where are we going?
Go wherever you all want.
Cotty.
Let's talk about Harmony Korine. I enjoy his aesthetic. He's got some really great visuals. However, because of the bombastic nature and how visceral and how adrenaline-filled it is, it might not be for everyone.
I certainly look at it and I go, yeah, he's doing something interesting and something I haven't necessarily seen before. It just kind of got obvious after a while, I felt.
But that's the whole film. I mean, the film is very simplistic in terms of its structure. We had the same scenes of topless women over and over and over.
Those were every 10 minutes. I think this was the most breasts I've ever seen in a movie, which is not bad, but again, it's this assault on the senses.
We have a thin film, but that doesn't mean it's not exciting and interesting and innovative. It just doesn't plunge the depths of the themes that it's exploring. I just let go when I watch this movie. I just let go, and there's no real reason, there's no real motivation. It's just an experience, and it might not hit you well, and it might make you excited.
You know, I'm all for people trying things and being experimental and having an unusual aesthetic that's against the mainstream. But guess what? If it's an experiment, not all experiments are successful.
It didn't work for you.
This one wasn't as successful.
I agree.
It's evident that this film sparks conversation, and it's unusual, and I really want to reward the unusual. I say see it.
Korine lovers are very much going to appreciate this movie, but it's not necessary viewing in the theaters. I say catch it at home on a nice-sized TV. Stream it.
Although Spring Breakers tries to be interesting, it falls flat. I say your time is better spent going to the beach. Skip it.
Looks like our votes add up to 1.5 tickets, which is a stream it for Spring Breakers.
All right.
Spring break.
In this British miniseries, we join the Crawley family and their staff.
An aristocrat with no servants is as much use to the county as a glass hammer.
In the years surrounding World War I, they witnessed the great changes to their family and the world.
This is a war, and we must be in it together. High and low, rich and poor. There can be no special cases.
Join us for a retrospective and a look ahead to Season 4 of Downton Abbey.
Hi, I'm Leah.
Hello, I'm Liz.
And I'm Sean. And we're here to do a retrospective on Downton Abbey. We've all just seen it. Who wants to start?
I'll start. Okay, so Downton Abbey is created by Julian Fellowes, who is an Academy Award-winning screenwriter for Gosford Park. Julian Fellowes is involved in all of the stories throughout all of the seasons, and so he's very engaged in these stories, and there's some very brilliant or some very smart writing that happens with this show.
It's won numerous awards, of course, Golden Globes. It's won an Emmy for the Outstanding Miniseries, and Dame Maggie Smith has won 2 Emmys for Outstanding Performance.
It's the most critically acclaimed show of all time.
It's a Guinness World Record holder for how critically acclaimed it is.
And the show is set right after the sinking of the Titanic in season 1, and by season 3, we're in 1921.
One of the interesting things I think about what you just mentioned is the way that Julian Fellowes crafts entire seasons around historical events that we're already familiar with. So we open the first season with the sinking of the Titanic. We immediately know where we are in terms of history and time and who's involved and who's concerned, and I think that that's kind of clever. With season 2, we have the same thing with the advent of World War I, or the Great War.
Right, well, season 1 is fantastic. I love it more than anything ever, and I really enjoy it a lot.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I think Downton Abbey as a whole, the attraction to it is watching the couples form and the chemistry that they have.
Yes.
And season 1, you have the most amount of chemistry between the actors, the romantic chemistry between all the actors, and romantic potential brewing at that point. So it's very exciting.
Do you realize this is the first time we've ever been alone?
Then you've forgotten when I pulled you into the conservatory at the Northbrooks. How sad.
No, I haven't. It's not quite the same with 20 chaperones hiding behind every fern.
Season 2, you have a little bit of a reduction in the chemistry between the actors, and it almost seems like we're starting to grasp at straws in terms of bringing in more extreme plot lines. And that starts in season 2 and it extends far into the reaches of season 3, where things get far too dramatic for my taste. But season 2, you still have some adorable couplings in Anna and Mr. Bates.
Mother left me some money. Much more than I thought. Vera is a greedy woman. She won't refuse what I can offer her.
Will we have to leave Downton?
Not until we want to. I've spoken to his lordship and he will find a cottage for us near the house.
What I find most compelling about the show is the kind of class struggle and the issues between the upstairs and the downstairs. I find it fascinating that this is what aristocrats do. They sit around all day long and plot and plan on how they can maintain their status and wealth. That's fascinating to me. And the servants are just as invested in maintaining those structures.
That was one of the things that I kind of loved about it, is it's not, Fellows could have fallen into this trap of saying, it's the upstairs and it's the downstairs, and we're just going to group them and they're just going to be 2 separate entities. And that's not the case. You have this Mosley character who you know, Matthew comes to live at the estate and he's like, I don't need to be pampered like this.
What?
And then someone has to basically tell him, well, it's kind of his livelihood too. He wants to do this. This is his job. This is his position in life, and you can't really take that away from him.
I agree.
You'll not be taking me with you, sir? Only I thought you'd be needing a proper valet once you're married.
I've always thought of you as more of a butler who helps out as a valet.
Dame Maggie Smith plays the Dowager Countess, Violet Crawley, who is Lord Grantham's mother, and she's just fantastic. If the role was not written for Maggie Smith, I would be kind of shocked, because it's like, can the casting get any better?
You gotta love her. I mean, who doesn't love a curmudgeon-y old broad who speaks her mind? She's been there, done that, seen it all. You just can't run any game on her, and she can run circles around you.
If we can show the county he can behave normally, they will soon lose interest in him. And I shall make sure he behaves normally, because I shall hold his hand on the radiator until he does.
What both Pride and Prejudice and Downton Abbey have, again, is this fantastic chemistry between the couples. Anna, Mr. Bates, Mary and Matthew, Sybil and Tom.
The Catholic socialist.
I love him.
Still trying to get over that one.
Why was it you wanted to see me?
We've asked Molesley to look out Matthew's old morning coat. He's confident he can make it fit.
That's very kind, ladies. But you see, I don't approve of these costumes. I see them as the uniform of oppression, and I should be uncomfortable wearing them.
I have to say I'm a big fan of O'Brien, played by Siobhan Finneran. That woman is just evil, and she's just backstabbing and plotting. She actually has some complexity to her, and there are moments where we think that she really might be motivated out of genuine concern for the family that she works for.
Don't suppose the war will leave any of us alone by the time it's done. Got a letter from Thomas the other day. He writes that when he thinks about how things used to be, it seems like a dream.
One thing that didn't change, I would say, in all 3 seasons is the directing and the look of the show. It's absolutely gorgeous. It looks like a period film, a theatrical release, and the costumes are so gorgeous.
Oh, I love the fashions.
I know.
Like, what are they wearing now? Oh, that's lovely.
So as we go into season 4, how about some final thoughts on the first 3 seasons?
Though I'll continue watching, I can't help but be a little hesitant that I will enjoy season 4 as much as I've enjoyed season 1 and 2. Season 3 was a downfall for me, so I'm nervous. But I still love Downton Abbey.
I think that there are shows that they don't always have great seasons every season. And so I'm hooked on Downton Abbey, and I am willing to give season 3 a pass and see what they come up with season 4.
It's not necessarily a show skewed to the male perspective, but I still enjoy it, and I still think that it's basically classic storytelling. You can sometimes tell what's coming, but that doesn't mean they don't give it to you in a very satisfactory manner.
Agreed.
To Downton Abbey.
To Downton Abbey. Cheers.
Isn't it amazing that so far there hasn't been a character named Abby? This week we reviewed Harmony Korine's new film Spring Breakers, the animated flick The Croods, and we did a retrospective on the PBS series Downton Abbey.
So Sean and I had a very tough task at hand in recommending a classic film that correlated with everything we reviewed this week.
We needed to pick a film that was set during a warm vacation, had a bright, campy feel, and had a little bit of romance thrown in for good measure.
We figured it out. So if you're somehow looking for a movie that's a combination of all 3, check out Frankie and Annette in Beach Blanket Bingo.
Beach blanket bingo. Beach blanket bingo. Beach blanket bingo. That's the name of the game.
Take a blanket made for 2 now.
And a boy and a girl.
That's a game for me and you now. Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
It's the most legitimate of the beach party movies, and it's filled with adorable musical numbers and exciting set pieces like skydiving.
And it co-stars Don Rickles, Paul Lynde, and Buster Keaton.
On a more serious note, the film explores the biker and surfer subcultures from the 1960s and the existential battle of wits that ensues preceding their encounters. Also, there's a mermaid.
I'm a mermaid.
Some of my best friends are mermaids, Lorelei. See you tomorrow.
Let's just compare and contrast. Who could deny the similarities between the premise of Kids,
a controversial look at teenagers and their attitudes towards sex and drugs,
and Beach Blanket Bingo? No one could. No one could deny it. Ever.
So if you're looking for an alternative to enjoy that's a hybrid of 3 very different pieces of entertainment, check out Beach Blanket Bingo, this week's classic from the vault.
On our next episode, we review the new comedy, The Incredible Burt Wonderstone, starring Steve Carell, Alan Arkin, and Jim Carrey. Then we take a look at The Call with Halle Berry. And finally, we check out The Company You Keep, starring and directed by Robert Redford. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
I've seen some Korean movies.
That's different.
But that is different, isn't it? Yeah.